Okay, so this is gonna be a long video and a very informative one, not just for people who want to drive or keep their vehicles well maintained about the ethanol saga that is going on, but this video is mostly targeted on everyone. Okay, so I'll be posting a lot of data in the comment section on what you can search. So before just coming to the ride, I was researching a lot on what is happening in the sector right now and what are the large scale impacts of switching to ethanol. My bike getting ruined is just one of the reasons, and yes, it will impact me personally, but how will that impact the world, which is what we'll be looking at. Okay, so let's start with the basics. Why ethanol? Everybody knows how much ethanol is being blended, how it's made and everything. So the three main reasons I find are farmers are being benefited from this because India is the second largest producer of sugarcane, but we are not even a significant part in terms of production of ethanol in the world. So there is a huge scope for India in producing ethanol products and supplying it across the world, or using it in the ethanol blends that, or in the petrol blends that we have. Okay, let's just turn this off. And apart from this, how early do you think that ethanol was introduced into the world? Most would say that it has been over a lot of years. That is, ethanol was first introduced as an alternative for the fuel 95 years ago from today, in around 1930. Okay, so what happened in 1930 or what changed is that there was a lot of research going on can we replace gasoline in USA. Gasoline is just petrol, it's just a different term. So in India, just a quick tip on what gasoline versus the petrol difference is. In India, we dye our petrols to a much darker color just to differentiate it, and it is typically whatever we call white fuel is just white fuel. It's just a different octane fuel, that's it. White fuel that is used in probably larger commercial reasons is much more pure in terms of its chemical composition. So let's get back to ethanol. It was first introduced in 1930, and they had been experimenting for around 40 years, and right around in 1970 the first introduction into vehicles started. Okay, in the 1970s, and in 1981 there was a study published by US Army and one of the US entities. I'll just post a link to it here. I have done a lot of research on this before coming to this point where I can talk about this. So let me tell you what happened in that. In that, they used 10% blended ethanol with gasoline and 100% ethanol, and 10% blended methanol with gasoline and 100% methanol. So they used this on a 2.5 or a 2.6 liter petrol or gasoline engine and ran it in different stages. So what they typically saw was there was less engine wear when ethanol was introduced, but back in 1980s it was unleaded petrol, not leaded petrol. Okay, so it was a completely different story back then. So they saw a lot less engine wear, and they saw that the engine build-up, a lot of build-up in the engine that happens due to wear and tear was lesser when ethanol was introduced. But the emissions that was coming out was much different. That's a different story. There was a study done 20 years later after that, and I'll come back to that. I'll come to that sometime in the future in this vlog. So what happened when they did this is that they understood that ethanol can be mixed, and methanol started ruining the engine by a large ratio. So it impacted the engine's life overall in the long run. So they stopped experimenting on methanol and started using ethanol. And since then there has been a lot of mixing in USA in the ethanol market, in the gasoline industry, and right around about 2005 or 2002 I believe, largely the commonly used fuel in USA was E10 gasoline. So it is going way back now, 20 plus years back, that people started using ethanol blended gasoline in USA. So it is not a new concept. Vehicles have been prepared or made to fit this from a very long time. Okay, and they have been using this, but they label it, they give you unleaded gasoline without ethanol, with ethanol, and different blends of ethanol. Okay, that is happening in the USA. Then there was a study done in 2001 which was mostly focused on the emissions that come out due to ethanol. Okay, here they saw that carbon oxide, which also our government is targeting right now, is pretty much less in terms of let me just stretch it a bit. I almost bounced down that bump. Shit. Let's slow down. Okay, let's get back to it. Okay, so where were we? We were at the emissions. Yeah, the emissions point. So in 2001, a study was done wherein they checked a lot of engines with one engine. It was, I think, a 1.6 liter petrol engine. They tested it with pure gasoline versus 10% ethanol mixed gasoline. So what happened when they did this, or what changed, was that they saw there was a lot less of carbon oxide which was being emitted from the exhaust, and they saw that everything was okay. But there was one concern in this, which might be what I targeted as this is a concern for everyone in the long run. Okay, I might be very wrong at this, or I might be very right. It is just my research of around 2 to 3 years which I did before coming up. And what happened was there is a compound called acetaldehyde, and it was being produced or emitted in large proportions. When I say acetaldehyde, until the catalytic converters activate at a certain temperature, especially in cold starting petrol engines, which is pretty common, that we have to keep our engines running for 30 seconds, 1 minute in a cold start. So here we saw that acetaldehyde being emitted was more than 100% higher than on pure gasoline or petrol engines. This study was groundbreaking, and there were a lot of inputs on this. So when we talk about acetaldehyde, let me give you a context of what it is. It is commonly emitted when cooking on LPG gas and a lot of other daily activities. It might be transport vehicles and everything. So currently, if we assume that there is 100% of the gases that are being emitted into the world, which is acetaldehyde, and if I have to break that up into different proportions, if we introduced E30 petrol everywhere in India, okay, 40% of that would be from cooking gas, and the other 40% of that would mostly be from, guess what, ethanol blended engines, nothing else, just ethanol blended engines. Okay, so you can imagine something that is chronic and can give you cancer. There's a lot of downsides to ethanol also, acetaldehyde, that it is a main reason for respiratory issues, for chronic cancer. And when I did the entire research, it was mind-blowing to see that almost 6 to 7% increase in all metro cities in final lifelong cancer cases will increase 6 to 7% if we introduced ethanol E30 petrol and breathe that air every single place, because Indian houses are not well what can we say, are not well protected from outside air. Yes, we don't have purifiers, we don't have chambers to protect that, because in countries where there is a lot of cold, there is a lot more insulation to the houses that outside air does not come in, compared to us where we live in open spaces. We open our windows just to get some gasp of an air. So what happened here is that all the air from outside is coming up. I almost blew my gearbox there. Fuck. Okay, so a lot of air comes into the homes in India when you start making anything, and you will be breathing this air overall throughout your life. And it's not just the chronic diseases, but the respiratory issues due to it, and everything else will increase proportionately. Imagine this is the air right now, and 5 years from now I have increased the acetaldehyde concentration in this air by 40%. Okay, whatever problems we are having today will increase drastically. Okay, so this is the main problem which I see with ethanol being introduced or moving to an E30 stage. So what are the concerns or the conclusions that we have to come at? From the studies, the main concern I've seen is that, or I understood, is you cannot leave ethanol in your vehicle with your vehicle fueled up for a very long time. That is the biggest concern that is there right now. And apart from that, if you have to look at other things, right? So why do you not have to leave your vehicle with ethanol in it for a long time? Let's not go to that side. Let's go straight and pull it a stretch. So ethanol has a lot of oxygen in it and attracts water or vapor, condensation, a lot of it from your tank, from the cold, from a lot of things. When you're fueling, based on the conditions, based on the humidity in the air also, it attracts a lot of condensation. When that gets into your petrol tank or any fuel tank, what happens is your ethanol will stay at the bottom with the water and the petrol will rise up. That will cause a lot of rusting, corrosion and build up in your fuel tank wherever it is settled right now. Okay, so how long is this? Maybe more than a week, 10 days is what we assume that this might cost us a lot. So older vehicles are in greater chance of risk of this corrosion and other buildups in the fuel tank, not in the engine. The engine would run very smooth based on the studies that I have seen, but we have a lot of contradictory statements that the engine wear and tear will happen a lot and the service will happen a lot. Yes, I agree to that in a specific sense, and that is mostly on the fuel efficiency and maintenance. So in the same study that was done in 1981, right, we also found out in that study that the oil they had used in that study, when they introduced 10% ethanol in that, there were lot less what can we say, metal shards or metal parts per million when copper and other things were checked, but there were a lot more of water buildup in that. So there was water mixed up in that fuel, which it was not to an extent that it will damage your engine, but it was there. But with pure gasoline or pure petrol, you would not find any water in your engine oil, which is the biggest thing that you have to understand right now. And do we have any oils that are ethanol friendly? I'm not sure. Are the government introducing it? Are they helping us find out which oils to use, which not to? No, they are not helping us at any cost. Okay, let's just take a left and come back to this road later. Let's just go over here and come back a bit later on the main road. Yeah, let's talk over here calmly. So what happened, on the engine oil part. So when you start increasing the ethanol percentage, you will find more water in your oil or more H2O in your oil overall, which is building up due to the condensation and due to which ethanol is pulling that liquid in your oil, and your oil is not built to sustain that. Your engine is not built to sustain that. In E10, it was not, according to the study, it was not harmful. But when you go to E20 or E30, yes, it will be harmful for older engines and for newer engines. You will have to service your vehicles much regularly, probably 10% or 10% of the kilometer tenure before your regular service interval would be ideal to keep your vehicles in good condition. You cannot leave it with fuel for a long time. If yes, you have to fill it to the maximum so that it does not attract condensation and water comes into the tank. That is part 2. And part 3 would be any kind of fuel related parts which are corrosive, by meaning which are not stainless steel, will have to be replaced very much frequently, because due to this corrosion or whatever condensation it is pulling in, right, the rubber parts for the fuel hose, for any fuel related fuel pumps, etc., whatever you want to pick it up, so all of those will start getting brittle, or a lot of buildup will be introduced into them, which will restrict the flow by a very large margin. So this is the main issues that are going to happen. We have seen videos, I think a biker, Zubair from Bangalore, has made a beautiful video on the separation in terms of XP100, XP95, how much ethanol is mixed in that, what do we do with that, and all of those things. But you can see a lot of videos in that sense also. But ethanol as a whole will ruin your engine. Yes, the bike that I'm riding right now, I'll just post a picture somewhere over here. It is compliant for E10. It is a 2018 vehicle and it is compliant for E10 back then only. Okay. So imagine a vehicle that is so old is already compliant for E10. Yes, this is a BS4 vehicle, not even BS5, not a BS6. It is BS4. It was discontinued because they could not upgrade it to higher emission standards. And I pulled up the data for my other bike, which is a G310R, the BMW G310R, and I found out that that is also compliant only for E10. It was introduced, or I bought it in 2023. So just 2 years ago, and that is not already a part of the current fuel that we are getting in the market. I don't fill XP95 in that. I didn't used to, but even XP95 is at 15%. So what's the point? Like, what did we do in that? So I can't fill XP100 for a G310R. It's too expensive for everyday rides. For this vehicle, currently we are running on the XP95. And do we have to look into different options? Yes, we would have to. Is it mandatory for me right now? It is kind of, but I don't want to switch to the XP100 because I cannot find it everywhere. I will lose a lot of ability to ride this vehicle everywhere I want if I switch to XP100 completely. So what do we have to keep in mind, or what are the conditions that will help us understand what is wrong and what is right? The main things that I am thinking right now is that yes, our vehicles will not remain the same in the future if this starts happening. We are fighting for the right reason in the right way, which is, yes, we should get an option to choose what kind of blend we want in our petrol when we buy at the fuel pumps. That is very, very correct. E10, E20, E30, if they want to charge more, they can charge more. That is totally up to them. But just because our farmers are benefiting from this and we will cut down a lot of imports doesn't mean that we can ruin every single engine that was built 2 years ago. Let me be very straight on this, okay? In the long run, you will have problems. That is for sure. For sure you will have problems. So what's the point of agreeing to a pact where there is no sense that comes up in how much money we are spending? I'll tell you a quick idea. This bike to the Suzuki OEM costed just 5.49 lakhs. How much? 5.49 lakhs. This was sold in Bangalore for 9.5 lakhs on road. 9.5 lakhs. The GST that they collected was 2 lakhs in this bike, and the road tax that I paid was another almost 2 lakh rupees, I guess. Okay, imagine paying so much money and then getting to know that you don't have the fuel that you want in the market. How bad is that? Like, what can I do in this? Help me understand. The XP100 still has, Zubair's video is beautiful in that aspect. I just put a link to that in the section, the description. Zubair's video shows very clearly that we have around 5% mixing of ethanol in XP100 also. XP100, like you're paying 160 rupees per liter for fuel, which you can get probably at 40-50 rupees a liter in other countries, and you're still getting 5% ethanol mixed in it. It is not pure. That is literally outrageous. Like, okay, yeah. And in terms of long-term harm to the public, yes, I want to do more research on the acetaldehyde. If anyone's watching this video, if they want to contradict me that I'm wrong in this aspect, please do. Okay, I want to be contradicted and understand that acetaldehyde is not bad for my health, for my family's health, or it is not bad in the long run for everyone else. Because we should always look out for the greater good. Today is always pleasant, tomorrow is something we can predict, but 10 years from now, I don't know what we will be doing. I don't know what we'll have in the market. Okay, I don't want such beautiful sounding machines to go bad because of just petrol. We should have the option or get the option to buy what we want and nothing else. If there is anything else in this world that is stopping us from doing that, we are not a democratic country then. So again, I'm bringing Zubair's video a lot more because the way he did that test was really nice. He marked it up really well. So in that same video, he went to an Indian oil pump where he was filling XP100, and what happened was he asked the guy, probably called the manager and asked them. He had no idea how much ethanol is blended in any of the petrol. He's like, XP100 I don't know, XP95 I don't know. And there is one shocking truth that he revealed in that video, which is the manager clearly mentioned that before this ethanol blending thing started to this extent where we went to E20, they used to get a tax invoice that this is the blend you have, this is the percentage of petrol and percentage of ethanol in your petrol that is being delivered to your fuel pump. And now they are not getting any breakup or details in the invoice, which is like, what are they trying to hide from the fuel pumps, not even from the consumer? Like, the fuel pumps have no idea. I don't know if I can justify this by bringing proof on this or if anybody can, but if anybody owns a fuel pump which sells XP95 and if you have a invoice from 1, 2, 3 years ago where you could find that there is a mention of ethanol blend in that, and in the current invoices that you're getting there is no mention of the percentage of blend that is there, please do bring that up. It will be supremely helpful for everyone to fight it. It will give us a lot of base that this is happening. And also let me come up on one more aspect of what will happen if we start using more ethanol. So what the internet suggests or marks is that with every 3% of ethanol, okay, with every 10% of ethanol that you increase in your petrol, you will lose around 3% in fuel efficiency. 3% in fuel efficiency. Okay, but let me come back to a different point wherein it's not just fuel efficiency. You are also losing out on a lot of power because your engines are built to burn gasoline, and to go the same amount of distance you are burning more fuel inadvertently. So there's no point in doing this, or there's no understanding to why we should do this. Should I pull it? Yeah, let's do it. Yep, let's get back to the point where it is on the fuel efficiency. Yes, we'll be losing a lot on the fuel, and the fuel efficiency is going to drop by a lot. We have seen a lot of videos where people have come down from around 16-17 kilometers per liter at very small 3-cylinder cars to around 12-13 kilometers per liter. If I even give them a benefit of doubt of around 10%, that it might be due to their driving conditions or the congestion in the cities, and they are getting 14 kilometers probably from 16-17, it is more than 10%, literally more than 10%. And this is not something we should be promoting. We want to build as a market in the future. No, there's no point in doing this. So start fighting a lot, understand what is acetaldehyde, how the increase of that in huge proportions will impact us in the long run. What can we do today? What can we do tomorrow? What are our options? How can we fight back? Like every single auto journalist that is there today is raising their voice, but it's time for them to unite and do something and not just raise their voice, because of course they're making a lot of content on it to educate the market, which is really good. Sorry, really good. I'm very proud of them for that the Indian auto journalists are going in the right way. But it's time for us to fight back. You don't have to associate with somebody and then fight back. Let's unite together, do something about this. If I don't know, like I don't have any experience on petitions or how do they work or something, but please let's start doing something on this part. Okay. And at last, this is a beautiful machine. Yep. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and please do something about this. I don't know, like I have put out everything that I know. I'll be doing more research. If you want more videos on this research or on anything else, please do let me know. I'll try to work harder on this part. Let me put my bike on low beam. Yep, please go, bro. Who's stopping you? Okay, thank you so much for watching. Let's meet again.